Thank you, John. Are we live for the purpose of the recording? Thank you.
Yeah.
All good.
Thank you. Call the meeting to order. Start the pledge of allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Agenda adjustments. There is no agenda adjustments, but right now I'd like to entertain a motion to go into public hearing to vote on our 2024 fiscal year budget. So moved. Second. Motion Situate, second Whitman. All those in favor, we'll do a roll call vote.
Excuse me, Mr. Chairman, just, can I also add to your motion that we'll waive the reading of the legal notice, which is just it's a procedural thing, just to go on record that we're not reading the.
And that's yes. Yeah. So with Mr. Miller being on virtual, everything will be virtual. Everything will be roll call vote this evening. Okay. So starting off, Norwell.
Aye.
Cohasset?
Yes.
Everton? Yes. Situate? Yes.
Hanson, yes.
And Rockland is there. That's unanimous vote. So we'll step into the open budget meeting for 2024 fiscal year.
Thank you. I would set aside most of the time for any comments from the public, but essentially, as you know from the December meeting, there's a proposed budget with a 2.25% increase. As you know, with the new governor coming in, we don't have the ability to project with greater accuracy town assessment numbers at this time. We will do our best to encourage towns to consider enrollment trends, but we truly don't know based on inflation factor. Will the state honor the 9.1% inflation factor that was in the third quarter of last year, or will they, as they're allowed to under the law, cap it at 4.5%? If you cap inflation and you cap funding based on a lower inflation number, there are more costs that are to the local level. So for now, this is the next step in our process. It's an opportunity for the public to talk about the budget. We will continue this conversation at our February meeting on February 15th, where I'll ask you to certify this budget. And yet again, unless the governor has produced a budget, it's very, very likely that we will have a certified budget. We will get assessment Chapter 70 numbers by March 3rd, and then we will reevaluate. We will take stock of what numbers we have. Jim will run the numbers within a day of the governor producing them. So let's say March 3rd, the numbers are published. March 4th, we've got some numbers crunched. We're going to send it out to the committee, and we'll also send it out to our community, our town representatives. The school committee has the right to readdress a certified budget, especially in the sense that if it had to be lowered because assessments were out of whack. We've got to be able to project revenues. So, Mr. Chairman, that's all. There's nothing new to report with regard to the budget, and if there's an opportunity for the public to comment as well, this would be the time to do so.
Does anybody in the audience have any public comment? Anybody from the committee?
I do. Tom, what's the latest we can certify a number for the town?
We have to certify 45 days before the earliest town meeting. So as a convenience factor, February 15th, our regular monthly meeting would be ideal. March 3rd would be too late. In a perfect world, we'd wait until March 4th because we'd have the numbers from the state. So we certify it, which means we're meeting our obligation. Then we would have that on record. What our communities want to know is how much is our projected share.
Yeah.
We will tell them that as soon as possible. I've had some conversations with towns, especially communities whose enrollments have gone up significantly, where I'm encouraging them to consider that, looking at last year's per pupil costs as a ballpark. People understand, they were understanding when Governor Baker came in his first year as well. So it's just we're up against the fact that we don't want to give, the worst thing to do would be to lowball the number, and then financial planners in our towns are making those projections. But honestly, between now and March 3rd, that's an educated guess might be all we can do.
Right. But the thing is, at town meeting, I believe you cannot increase the number, you can lower it.
That's correct. Our budget in total after February 15th, there would be no plan to increase that number. The question is it affordable? And that's what we'll figure out when we see state numbers and then reassess if it's not.
If we assess the number and numbers from the state come in lower than what we're looking at, how will we meet the budget? By taking out an ED account?
My recommendation right now, without knowing the numbers, but if you ask me what would be the first thing I would look at, it would be the capital line that we've got set aside for the bus fleet.
Yep.
That's where we would start. We will look at what the revenue gap is. We'll look at what our ESSER 3 funds are to help close that gap. But if that gap, if the assessments to the towns was still significant, then that's the first place I would go. Because we would be able to maybe we wait a year to replace our fleet. We have some additional regional transportation money we might be able to backfill. So if I had to lower that total number,
Right.
that's where I'd start.
Right, I knew the process. I want that understood that we as a school board do not take one-time money to pay to offset the budget because we don't have it the following year.
One-time money to fund operating expenses is generally not a good practice.
Okay, I want the public to understand.
Anybody else? Mr. Mulder, do you have any questions?
No, I'm up to date.
For budget, public hearing and budget? Noel Abington? Noel?
Aye.
Audience. Seeing none, not hearing any. Ask for approve the minutes of our December meeting. So moved.
Second.
Second Whitman. All those in favor, roll call vote.
Yes.
Noel?
Aye.
Good evening, everyone. I find myself here alone because our student of the month for January 2023, Mr. Ethan Maya from the Manufacturing Engineering Technologies Department, finds himself being celebrated for his 50th win in a match in wrestling and preparing at this moment for what we expect to be his 51st. He is a talented academic. His lowest academic grade at the moment is a 95. He's an outstanding vocational student with plans for post-secondary and engineering at the college level, and he is the kindest, most respectful young man that you will meet in March, February or March.
Yeah, look forward to it.
Yeah.
And now we'll turn to advisory, Joe Herculini.
He's got to go to the first.
So NHS sponsored the first batch of upcycle caps for vets for mistake limbs. School-wide, we've collected 27,775 caps and counting. The winning shot for a pizza party was graphics with a very outstanding total of 6,443 caps. Still counting, which means we still have another 2 boxes to go through. For skills, Caitlin Hicks is running for state officer for Skills USA. We'll be hearing about that in March when the test is being done. And Skills will be hosting a comedy night on February 4th at Venus. Athletics, girls basketball is 7-1 record overall. Boys basketball is 2-6. Wrestling is 3-3, and hockey is 5-7. For student council is hosting a Valentine's Day gifts event that we always do every year. Students can buy chocolates and keychain bears for another student alongside a note, and this will be starting on 1:30 and it will be ending on 2:10. Also not on the agenda here, student council will be running a volleyball tournament. That is kind of like the one we did last year, but this year will be a little bit changed. Students will be able to make teams and be able to compete against other teams inside the school. And since we be the first year, we'll be Very excited to go with it. Thank you.
And now we'll go to reports. The treasurer, Jim?
Sorry, Mr. Chairman, the staff spotlight.
Oh, I'm sorry. Staff spotlight. I'm sorry, I missed that. I apologize. My mistake. Staff spotlight. Ms. Sandoval.
Hello again. I'm going to take the opportunity to spend a moment showcasing our vocational director, Keith Boyle, as he was able to join us with the remainder of the administrative staff in December. My professional relationship with Mr. Boyle is extremely important to me. I have deep respect for his skill set, his relationship with the students in the programs, and as you will see shortly, his deep relationships with the teachers across the building. And I'm proud to call him both a colleague and a friend. He began his career, as you know, in the horticulture program at Upper Cape, and joined us as vocational coordinator in 2018, now serving as South Shore Tech's Director of Vocational Education. He's credited with managing South Shore Tech's with the best cooperative education program we've ever seen. We have more students, as you know, at our co-op than ever before. He's changed that culture, and students are now expected to go out on a co-op. They don't just choose to do it as part of our culture of our school. He's to be celebrated for his success in grant writing as well. His skills, capital grants and CTI program grants have brought in millions of dollars into our school district with his leadership and support. His leadership in that area is ultimately will be dollars earned that will allow us to develop a skilled workforce for the future. And it's my pleasure to turn forward to Mr. Boyle.
Thank you. Thank you, Sandy. Good evening, members of the school committee and fellow administrators. My name is Keith Boyle. I am the Director of Vocational Education here at South Shore Tech. And I want to take a brief moment today to provide a brief update on our school's cooperative education program, along with some recent information pertaining to the vocational grants that South Shore Tech has been awarded during this school year. Our school's co-op program has been off to a great start this school year, where we have had 96 seniors participating in the program. That's approximately 60% of the senior class. Collectively, those students have earned over $374,000 and have logged over 22,000 hours of job training. Our junior class will become eligible for co-op starting February 6th. We recently held an online forum where we were able to provide parents and students all of the information pertaining to the school's co-op program. We had over 55 participants join us, and we have several juniors that have already started the process and that are in the queue to be signed up starting February 6th. That's great news for that co-op program. In your packet for tonight's meeting, I provided a memo that highlights each vocational grant that South Shore Tech has received this year. Those total, the grant totals come up to nearly $4 million that has been able to been awarded to the district, that is spread across multiple departments here, benefiting programs, students, daytime students and night students with new modern technology and facility updates and upgrades as well. Tonight, I specifically want to talk briefly about one of the grants. The most substantial grant that we were awarded was a $2.5 million Skills Capital Lab Modernization Grant. That grant is specifically earmarked to expand and update equipment in our culinary arts department and our carpentry program. In preparation for that grant, I met with both departments over the summer, where we conducted an extensive list, where we listed all kinds of equipment and potential lab renovation ideas. And once we were awarded the grant, we hit the ground running with starting to prepare and order items. Recently, we met with a architect who was going to be helping us with mapping out a potential new modernized renovated kitchen and restaurant footprint. I was joined by the culinary department to echo, their vision and to work with the architect and making that vision become a dream come true, essentially.
One of the goals of the lab modernization grant was to not only purchase new high-tech equipment, it was also to provide additional lab space or facility space within the footprints to expand enrollment within those departments. So in order to do so, specifically here in the culinary department, we're looking at moving things such as the walk-in freezer, the walk-in refrigerator, relocating the chef's office to essentially create up to 1,000 square feet of additional footprint that would be utilized to expand the line in the kitchen, to expand the bakery area in the kitchen, thus providing access to more students to join the program. I would like to take a couple moments here to focus specifically on the culinary arts program who are here tonight with us. The department consists of 3 full-time instructors. Instructors are Leanne Montero, and we have a brand new addition to the culinary program starting this year. We were able to bring on Rachel Schuster, who is our vocational aide in the program. Rachel started earlier this year, back in September, where she was hired as a vocational aide and has been able to provide valuable program support to the students and to day-to-day operation of the program as a whole. I'm going to take a brief moment to speak about some specific highlights of the success of our co-op program before I pass it over to the members to introduce themselves and talk a little bit about the program as well. This year, our culinary arts department ran an extremely successful freshman exploratory program where they had and accepted over 20 first pick students, which is an excellent effort to the team and achievement made by all of them. This year, they had a busy holiday season where they sold over 550 pies on their annual pie day. They also volunteered at the Rockland Stroll, where they were able to utilize our new culinary food trailer, where they were able to serve over 700 pieces of fried dough, which was an excellent first use of that food trailer. In November, South Shore Tech hosted our annual fall program advisory dinner and meeting, where again, our culinary arts program stepped up and prepared and served a delicious dinner with desserts for over 150 guests. And recently, last week, our culinary arts department held their own MRE challenge with the help of the National Guard in preparation for their upcoming Skills USA competition. We currently have 2 co-op seniors in the program and 2 juniors working towards their approval for co-op starting in February. They have co-op students that are working at Market Basket, Harmon Golf Club, Scarlet Oak Tavern, and Nomai in Hingham. At this time, I would like to introduce Leanne Montero, the Culinary Arts Department Head, to talk about some more program successes this school year.
Thank you, Keith. I would only like to add that the culinary students and I had volunteered our services at the Cardinal Cushing Centers in Hanover for the developmentally delayed adults there just before the holidays. The 8 bakery students and I demoed and guided the clients on decorating cookies. I believe that the culinary students learned patience, empathy, and the importance of giving back to our community. The first question I can remember receiving from kids when we were done was, when can we do this again? The other community service and partnership culinary has fostered with Mamma Mia's was with Mamma Mia's in Hanover. We've had an ongoing relationship from the beginning of the school year with Mamma Mia's, where students in the bakery have collaborated and decided as a team each month for the making and delivery, not delivery, the making and selling of pastries or desserts that we sell to their restaurant. Students are motivated to be responsible for the type of pastry or dessert offered and the desired amount to offer, the price, a photo of the item, and the list of ingredients. Each month, the student contacts the manager of the restaurant via an email with the said information along with their name and their grade level. The manager then picks up the pastries on the agreed date and transfers our pastries or desserts into their packaging with their labels. Caitlin Mallett, the GM, is sure to give acknowledgement and kudos to our students and school on the signage around the items. And I'll only add to that is that Mr. Boyle kind of gave us a heads up on that other schools have been doing that with the other Mamma Mia's restaurants. The other names, I can't really remember them right now, but other schools have been doing it, so we jumped on board and they were just wonderful to have us hop on board with that. The students really love taking the initiative and coming up with desserts, whether it be just simple cookies or carrot cake or what have you, but more of a manager role where they have to contact the store owner or the GM and say, hey, this is what we're gonna have, and these are all the ingredients, and then they sell them, and they tell us that they go in about a day. So that's all I have for that. Thank you.
Hi, everybody. I'm Jeff McBurney. I just have a few things to say. I would like to thank Keith, Mr. Boyle, for his hard work on giving us the grant. He has helped, especially me, opening my eyes to things we have in the kitchen and age of things and equipment and letting us know in a nice way that it's time to update things. And these grants have been, will be very successful for us as we plan for our next generation of kids, but also for the future culinary department down the road. It is a lot of work, but it has been fun, trying to find high-end equipment and things that we have dreamed of having that now it is a reality for us. So Keith, I want to thank you for that. Also to Mr. Hickey knows this, but the Day on the Hill is back this year after a 3-year hiatus with COVID and everything else. So that is May 4th. So I'll see you at the State House then. That's it for me.
Hi, everybody. My name is Charles Doucette. Obviously one of the members. I want to thank you for having us here and being able to kind of chat with you and kind of display our awesome program. We've come a long way. We have, in my opinion, we've just started. Because of Keith and all the hard work and the partnership that we work together so well, is that we're bringing a lot to the table, and I believe it's starting to show all the hard work that we're putting together, and the amount of students that we're getting out of our draw, our exploratory draw, is the highest that we've ever had, and I think it's for us it's just the beginning. We're so excited to have this money and be able to plan for the future. So something to be proud of, something for to show off to your towns and say this is what we're capable of. A couple of things to add that we're doing. We have the MRE Challenge, which is Meals Ready to Eat. We partnership with Skills USA and the National Guard. We had the National Guard come in. We had 4 members of the National Guard come in, and we had an all student. We took all of our students. We broke them down into teams, and they had to make something edible and something that something that looked nice out of MREs. And those of you who know what I'm talking about, that's a challenge in itself. So we're moving on to the statewide Skills USA MRE Challenge next week. So we're super excited about that. We also have a Pro Star cooking competition, as well as a management competition, as well as a cake decorating competition that we are going to be participating in March. And this is our largest team ever that we've ever brought. We're bringing 16 members, 16 students down to Gillette Stadium. And we are going to be competing statewide with all these other schools and on a culinary level, on a management level, and cake decorating level. So we're super excited about that. The kids are very, very, very stoked about that. And I think that's all I have. I want to, you're probably going to speak to Ms. Schuster, but I just wanted to let you know on behalf of us, she is a great addition. She has helped so much get to where we are right now. And I know I keep talking about the future, but she's going to be a huge part of the future. So thank you for your time.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, if I might interrupt as Rachel approaches the podium, it's really tough being the last person on the list to have to speak and add to what is already an impressive story that we've heard tonight. I do want to acknowledge that her addition to the program here has everyone appreciates all the work that you do. And it should be noted that you are a graduate of this culinary program. So welcome back.
Welcome home.
All right.
So my name's Rachel Schuster, and when I found out they were hiring an aide, I jumped on that really quick because I wanted to come back. I'm so happy to be here, and I just really like this school and I believe in it.
Just one thing I have to say is that I was up at the Rockland Stroll and watched them pass out the large amount of fried dough. And not only was it fried dough, when they ran out of fried dough, they had cookies available for other things. And they also passed out, I don't know, I think they were making buckets and buckets and pallets of chocolate, hot chocolate everywhere. It was just an amazing thing. And fruit punch in there was great. And to have a lot of the townspeople still talk about the food truck, and then a lot of the people that I was talking to telling them that it all came from a grant. And they were like, oh, why don't we get those things? Well, that's because they don't have a vocational director and other things like that. They're fighting for this program. And on behalf of the town of Rockland, you guys did a great job, and thank you. Great job.
Thank you.
I have one comment, Chair.
Yeah, go ahead, Mr. Moore.
Speaking to the speaker.
Go ahead.
Yeah, I hope that maybe some of the money we got for culinary, they can increase the pie output for Thanksgiving season. That 600 number doesn't work anymore. There's at least 2 people from the town that butts me to the east have been pestering me to bring it before the committee to see what they can do so they can get on the list. That's it.
That's a good goal for us to have, I guess. All right. Duly noted. We'll start now. Yes.
Our reservations.
Anybody from the committee have anything else? Okay, treasurer's report. Yep.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Just coincidentally.
Thank you very much, guys.
Thank you very much. Great to see you.
Thank you. Take care.
See you soon.
Take care. The picture on the front of the report is the MRE challenge that they were talking about from culinary, the National Guard that came into the building to support students. Page 1 is our financial position as of December 31st, little over $6 million in the bank. Things going well. We have about $911,000 in our OPEB account. For the month of December, we got a final check from one of our towns, Whitman's. Check was received early December, so that money came in along with our Chapter 70 money. So overall, about $713,000 came through the door in December. And the final page is the expenses. Again, I believe December, the salary line item for December, a little over $1 million. I think it was a 3 paycheck month, one of those things that catch up on us a couple of times a year. So that's why it's a little higher than normal. Other than that, everything else is running smoothly. We don't have any budget deficits right now through any of our accounts. Again, we're busy in the business office with year-end W-2s, 1099s, and a lot of the end of the year process, calendar year processes that we have to go through. Janine and Pam are doing a great job managing the workload of all the stuff that's being piled on their desks. So overall spending for the month was a little over $1.4 million. Again, most of that because of the large increase because of the 3 payroll weeks in December. Is it?
Anybody have any questions on the report? Any discussion? Okay. Seeing, not hearing any, we'll go for another roll call vote. Noel? I'll make a motion, sorry.
I'll second.
Situate, Whitman? Mr. Mola? Noel?
Aye.
Dan?
Yes.
Go ahead.
Yes.
Madigan? Situate? Hanover? Yes. Hanson?
Yes.
Great. Rockland, that there, all in favor, that's a motion carries. Warrants?
Warrants, 11, 11.1, 11A, 11.2, 12, 12.1, 12A, 12B, and 13, totaling $1,682,003.70.
Entertain a motion, the warrants.
I'll make that motion.
Okay. All those in favor? Okay, it's a roll call vote, sorry. Norwell?
Aye.
Whitman?
Yes.
Cohasset?
Yes.
Abington? Situate? Hanover? Hanson?
Yes.
And Rockland, yes. It's a vote. Have any other updates?
No, all set.
All set. Chairman has nothing this evening. Subcommittees, there's no report for any subcommittees. Superintendent Director.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Very briefly, under fiscal 24 budget update, we had a brief public hearing earlier. We are scheduling meetings with our respective towns and have appointments on the books in Situate and Whitman coming up in the next few weeks, or late January, early February. We're going to reschedule Abington probably as early as next week. And Norwell, we have scheduled tentatively in March. As I said last month, I'll be reaching out. I'll be reaching out to all of our communities, very likely to be in front of every FinCom or advisory committee, but also if a town wishes to have us speak to their select board regarding one of the other items I'll update you on, namely the regional agreement. So that'll be, we're on track to be able to speak directly with our communities. I'm looking forward to that. Next item up, MSBA update on OPM selection. I want to thank our OPM selection subcommittee for their very diligent work, a lot of reading, a lot of analysis. We have forwarded to the MSBA the firm Left Field as our owner's project manager, and we are in the process now of finalizing the paperwork that goes to MSBA, so that their OPM review panel will take up the matter on February 6th. Assuming that is agreed upon by the MSBA, there should be no reason why it wouldn't be. Then we can officially start working with that firm the very next day. I've had at least one initial conversation with them to begin to prepare an aggressive schedule. The next item up for us, as you've heard me say, is that the OPM will assist us and the school building committee in hiring a design team. I would anticipate seeking to hold a school building committee meeting, probably remote, so that we can tackle a couple of budget items. But the most important would be to let this firm introduce themselves to every member of the school building committee, and then begin to prepare the documentation that we would go out to bid to get proposals for a design team. We can work quickly in these early stages and save some time. And then when we get into design conversations, that's when we can begin to slow down and explore all the options we have. So I thank the members of that subcommittee for doing that work. And we'll have more certainly there'll be another update next month. And again, my goal would be we'll get, MSBA calls it the SBC. So there's your next acronym, School Building Committee, too many syllables, we'll just say SBC. But there will be SBC meetings probably before our next school committee meeting. Next item is an update on the regional agreement. In a manila folder that you have in front of you, this is not, I don't need you to analyze this, but just so you can identify where it is in front of you. I'm happy to report that, again, the same group that formed our OPM selection subcommittee also is been doing diligent work helping with the review of the regional agreement. I'm happy to say that the Department of Education's legal department came back in a very short turnaround and had no additional concerns. Therefore, in order to proceed properly, I've asked the Regional Planning Subcommittee to schedule a Zoom meeting on Friday so that I might go over from the beginning to the end what is involved. Most of it you've all seen in previous drafts, but I will take it from the top with them, ask for their recommendation, and then I will ask the full school committee at your earliest convenience to join on a Zoom so that I might get an official vote recommending these changes. Under the regional agreement, what that does is when the school committee recommends that we change the regional agreement, it would trigger a notice that would come from Jim to our towns. I would supply all the background information, all the decoder rings, all the charts, all the strike-throughs. And then that puts it, especially for our communities, especially for Situate and Abington, whose town meetings are in April. Every town is on a slightly different pace with warrant language articles. I've been in touch with all of our town administrators, offering them drafts or just asking, we want to play by your rules. Let me know what your time frame is. By getting your vote on this perhaps as early as next week, it will allow me to officially move forward, take the asterisk off the draft so that I say, this is the official draft. Let me just say for the record here tonight that although there are many changes, some of which are probably nice but not necessary, and we definitely deployed grammar police throughout the whole document. There isn't a bad comma anywhere to be found. Let me boil down for you again that the reason we're doing this is because of the potential addition of the town of Marshfield. The first significant change is putting in terms and conditions for Marshfield's entry, where we ask the town to pay almost 18% of our stabilization fund over a 10-year period, which helps to put their skin in the game. So when we draw from this fund, it is drawing to assist all 9 communities, and it isn't the funds from 8 towns to pay for the needs of 9. That removes that fairness, unfairness issue. And then the second big condition is a phased-in drawdown, a phased-in debt sheet for any future debt that we might have. As you know, we have no debt on the books. We know we have an MSBA project in the future. And the essential arrangement is when Marshfield has had the time to recruit and place 4 years of kids in this building, we will take a snapshot and that will be the debt share. The way I'm doing my math, you eight towns will end up voting on an MSBA project within the next 4 or 5 years, probably the next 2, which means we will vote on a project knowing that eventually there will be a haircut coming back to our towns once we fix that enrollment. So it's proportional debt share, almost like you have an adjustable rate mortgage for the first 4 years. And then when we know that it's an apples to apples comparison, when the town of Marshfield when we've been able to recruit and place, then we will look at the enrollment and that will be the number that we will use. So maybe that's in fiscal 29, I'm doing my math quickly, fiscal 30. We'll be able to go to our towns and say, I think we're playing fairly based on paying into a stabilization fund or at least the equivalent dollar amount. And we're also saying, nobody wants to guess at what the enrollment shares will be in 5 years. So let's follow the bouncing ball for 4 years and then fix it. Because all of your communities have had, for decades, they have 4 years of fully recruited kids in this building, whether they're coming or not. So that was the philosophy behind it. It was met with support. That's the first significant. That is absolutely the dog. The tail on the dog. Some of the other changes I want to just mention to you that I flagged in the document for you. We're going to delete some language that DESE says is no longer necessary, which they said was necessary 5 years ago, and now it's not. Language involving how a new town would pay in their first year. If Marshfield joins in their first fiscal year, they will be treated in the Chapter 70 formula like everybody else. We won't have to have them pay tuition. Everything will be, you'll see a chart that Jim will design, and there will be 9 towns on it. Year 1 won't be anything out of the ordinary. So that's a change. One area that I know I'll need to spend some time on with our communities to make sure it's understood, which was not driven by our local committee or by me, but was urged by DESE, was for us to identify a default method for incurring debt. I can't speak in under 1,000 words, but I'll try to just do a minute. It basically means this. If a future school committee wanted to vote at the local level to move a debt issue forward, there are multiple ways you can do it. Up to this point, we've played by this rule. Anytime this committee wants to incur debt, it must be a 2/3 vote of the membership of the committee, which would be 6 out of 8, period. DESE said, you need to develop a default method, which would allow you to move a debt issue forward from this committee using a lower bar, a simple majority. So what this regional agreement will say basically is this. If a future school committee wants to move a debt issue forward, and it uses the method, which I won't bore you with the law, but it's 16D, paragraph 1, I guess I just bored you with it. That one provision says this. You've got to send the matter to each individual town, and any one town can vote it down, and it kills the matter. So why is DESI suggesting this? They want to have the school committee have the ability to get the matter in front of the taxpayers and in front of the people. And maybe it's because, I mean, we always have a fully constituted committee, we fill vacancies if necessary, but if it was 2/3 of the entire membership and you needed to have at least six people taking action on the matter, they must think that that's an issue. So my initial concern was allayed, when I realized that, oh, right, if this path means, even if it does move forward with a lower bar. So a simple majority means we have a quorum of 5 people and there's a 3-2 vote to move something forward. That is permissible, a simple majority. But that matter goes to each individual town, by which each individual town could look at the matter and say, one town could say no. There are other ways of incurring debt. I'll stop the seminar there, but that is a change which, if it was left up to our subcommittee, this would not have been a hot issue for us. But that is definitely, and that has nothing to do with Marshfield. That is a change not to do with Marshfield that DESI asked us to include. So I will be sure to emphasize that when we're talking to our towns. And then the only other 2 changes. So I've only said we're removing some language that's no longer relevant on a new town's first year, the default debt method. And then the other 2 changes involve when a town wants to withdraw from the district. We've got a whole section on that, it's ironic we would be talking about it, but it's there for a reason. There are 2 additions that we're putting in. One is a sentence that says that this school committee will form a subcommittee and invite representatives from the town seeking to withdraw to basically have a dialogue about what would be involved for the terms of the withdrawal. Just in parentheses, first of all, why would someone want to withdraw? That might be one question. But what does that mean if a town wants to withdraw? It's another amendment to our regional agreement. Much like we add a town's name, we'd have to have a subcommittee, work with the town, come back to this committee and put forth another amendment where it might actually withdraw our community. When Minuteman Regional in Lexington, which I had at one point, I think over 20 communities in Metro West, when they revised their regional agreement, many communities wanted to get out of the region. So that is the only recent precedent that I'm aware of. It was a brand new school, it was a massive undertaking. So one change is form a subcommittee and talk to the town that wants to withdraw. Common sense, DESI had no issue with that. And then the other change is that we would have it, right now in our regional agreement, it reads by a majority vote of the committee. And since we went through with a fine-tooth comb everywhere where it said a vote of the committee, we wanted to make it crystal clear. Is it a vote of the membership, a majority of the membership? Remember, you need 2/3 of the membership to approve a budget. So what it's going to say in this version is you need to have a majority of the membership of the committee. In other words, we're going to raise the bar because if a town were to withdraw from the district, just hypothetically, there's financial implications at some point for all member communities in terms of cost. So the last change, I would think we're not going to see this discussion in our lifetimes, but it does make for a better, clearer document. Other than that, there are 57 other changes of some sort or another, some clarification, some economizing of words. Everything you just heard me say right now, this regional planning subcommittee will have to endure on Friday at 2:30 on Zoom. Sorry, guys. But that's where I'll be able to pick up the matter officially and then bring it back to you all for any discussion and a vote. So thank you for listening to that. I hope it will also cut down on my needing to debrief with the full committee.
Well, thank you very much. I was just going to ask, do we have to still meet?
Like anything else, and I give DESI legal credit. I didn't expect them to turn around this quickly, but the timing was slightly off. Or otherwise, I certainly would have asked to have it for tonight. Thank you. We have a textbook ready player one from the English department here, and then thank you for listening. Mr. Chairman, I'll turn it over to Sandy for administrator reports.
Since it's my 3rd time at the podium, you have been excellent listeners this evening. I will try to be as succinct but as professional as possible. I do feel a mid-year responsibility. We're heading just about into the end of our first semester, ending on January 26th, with the second semester starting the next day. to let you know where we are in terms of our planning for our success on our graduation requirement exams, otherwise known as MCAS. Our students come here for our outstanding vocational programs, but we can't graduate them unless they have been successful in their MCAS assessment. So I want to make a nod to that. We came to last fall, tell you a little bit about our relative success against the state. We've done very well against the state and against our peers in the region, but want to let you know what our preparations are for this year. Our teachers and department heads do and take this very seriously and really do get to the granular element. I'll make a nod to at least one granular level so you know how detailed they get. In our academic programs, the curriculum has been adjusted to address areas for growth as identified on our MCAS data. Occasionally benchmarks and assessments reveal progress or lack of progress in curriculum, and curriculum is adjusted in real time to support students in being successful in the 2023 exam. In terms of the detail they get to, the granular level, let me just give you an example of what our English department does, math department, science department, it happens to be an English example. They noticed that they were 1 point below the state average on vocabulary acquisition and use, language standard 9, grades 9 and 10, item number 4, determining or clarifying the meaning of unknown and multiple meaning words or phrases. And their plan is, quite specifically, to reinforce using context clues with vocabulary words, using root words, prefixes, suffixes to break down words with help. Prefixes, suffixes to help break down words. So they do get right down to a standard level, come up with specific actions that are then translated into lesson plans to support your students in being successful on the next round of this assessment. In our vocational programs, in semester 2, our freshmen participate by getting vocational homework, and they get homework on Study Island where they enter into math assessments on a self-paced online tool. They either do the assessments based against themselves and their own skill level on basic math skills, or the department will determine that a skill set in that program is very important and focus in on that particular areas of skill. For example, in culinary arts, fractions are extremely important to measuring, and so they focus their assessments on measuring fractions in particular. So they have those options. We have found over time that intervention does show reward on our assessments. In addition, we have a parent-supported, teacher-generated grade 9 at-risk program for students to drill down in areas of math for those students we've already identified who may struggle with the assessment in grade 10. And finally, beyond the classroom, our boot camps, which happen for each program, are already underway. English department started on the 11th of January with their boot camp sessions for students at risk and for students wanting to really achieve at the highest level. It's open to all students and both types of students to attend those. Math will start at end of February, March, and science will start March, early April, in tandem or in line with when the assessments happen later in the school year. So we are preparing, we will be ready, and we will take care of your students.
Very good.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you very much, Dr. Hickey. Great. Thank you very much, Ms. Paulette. Right now, we're going to new business. If you're looking at packet number 6, item number 6 is donation from the HVAC program. Entertain a vote to accept this item.
I'll make a motion, we accept the donation.
Motion Hanover.
Second.
Second Whitman. All those in favor, roll call vote. Mr. Mola? Noel?
Aye.
Evan? Cohasset?
Yes.
Abington? Situate? Hanover?
Yes.
Hinton?
Yes.
Rockland, yes. Okay, number 7 goes into an out-of-state field trip in Article number 7. Again, that's gonna be about, entertain a motion